Welcome, Steel Toe University members. This is episode 98 of the Steel Toe University podcast. And today we're going to be talking about ways that you can put your money to work. And if you think about it, it's kind of like hiring an employee. The employee you're hiring is your own money, and you're giving that money a job. So as you mature in your business and as you grow alongside the whole way, you have your money that in small amounts that you set aside and save will constantly be going to work for you if you do this strategically. So what are we talking about, and where do you get started with that? Many years after I began my business, I knew logically certain things, but I had not necessarily implemented everything I knew. As a younger child, even through my teenage years, I was given advice from my father, from my grandfather, about something called compounding interest. And a lot of these lessons I took in, and I logically was able to get what they were saying, but emotionally, I had a different connection with money. See, I wanted to have fun. And so I was really good at earning money. I was not afraid of hard work. So money would come in. That meant I could go have more fun. I could buy stereos for my car. I could upgrade my car. I could buy myself some nicer clothes. I could buy some dippity-doo so I could put my hair up and, get it nice and spiked on the top, which I don't have that problem anymore. But the thought of being disciplined and saying, okay, every month I'm going to take $100 or $200 or 10% or 15% or any set amount and set it aside. I was like a roller coaster. I'd go through phases. I'd go through phases where I would start to do that, and then I'd stop doing that. And now, years later, when I look back, and as my children begin to grow up and get older, I'm now the father. I'm now the educator, and I get how putting money aside at as young as possible. So first of all, those of you that are listening that are young, I'm going to ask you to fully tune in and focus on this conversation. It's a powerful one, and I'm going to plead with you to please take away this wisdom and do something with it. Those of you that are old timers and you have not yet started to do anything, this is not the episode to turn off because you think it's going to make you depressed, because all I'm going to talk about is what you can do if you're a 20-something years old, but you're in your 40s or 50s and you haven't started to do anything. So what's the point? I'll get to you and address what is the point, because the truth is it is never too late to start investing and putting your money to work for you. In fact, through the way interest is earned in mutual funds and IRAs, in different types of accounts, through those methods of earning money, it is quite possible that you will reach a tipping point where the money you earn from your business and from your efforts to produce a valuable result that earns money will actually become less than what your passive pile of money can grow to and start to return to you over time. Hopefully that tipping point comes somewhere maybe 15 or 20 years after you have become tenured in the profession that you do, whether it's home services, or maybe you have home services, maybe you have a couple side hustles. In either way, it is really important to start getting in the habit of setting money aside. And I want to give you a few powerful examples just to sort of set the tone here for what that looks like. How much money do I need to set aside, and how much money is at stake, or what are we talking about number-wise? So I'm going to flip my screen over here, and I'm looking at a compound interest calculator. Now, you may not be able to see this for those of you listening on the podcast, but let me go through this step by step. These calculators are available at a number of different places online. Just put in compound interest calculator, and you can start playing with some numbers. And recently I sat down with my children, my oldest being 13 years old, and because it's never too young to start the conversation, and I had to bribe them, encourage them, remind them that I would make ice cream for them when they were done if they listened to me for 10 minutes. So I thought that was a fair trade. So I told them, I said, if you graduate high school at 18 years old, and let's say all the years of birthday parties and, somehow you were able to work a job and you were able to accumulate, say if you had $3,000. I'm being very conservative here with all of these numbers. And you graduate high school and you have $3,000, and then you go to work and you get a 40-hour-a-week job, and maybe you're making 15 or 16 or $17 an hour just working some sort of entry-level job while you attend school or pursue some sort of higher education. If you're able to set aside, and I'm going to make a few changes here, $250 a month, which I picked that number because I feel like, gosh, in just about every situation, if you truly are working even a waiter job or a manufacturing job, and you are able to work 40 hours a week, $250 per month shouldn't be that much of a stretch. If you're 18 years old and you say, what would happen to that money if I kept doing that for 30 years? So till the time I was 48 years old, and you've got to pick an interest rate. Now, there's some nuances and some key tricks on getting interest rate. So I'm going to go really, really conservative here. A low, even a mediocre interest rate would be 6%, not an impressive interest rate to earn if you're in a good mutual fund. And I'll talk to you where you can get more information on that in just a moment. But if I calculated that out, again, $33,000 initial investment for a period of 30 years, setting aside $250 every single month, you would end up in 30 years at 6% interest. You would have $254,405. That is $250,000 for setting aside what is likely to be a very small, tiny, negligible amount of income. It's the amount of money you could probably save if you cut out a bad habit or Starbucks or fast food and made just a few small changes in your habits. Now, to emphasize how powerful this is, because one of the arguments that I like to make is that it really doesn't matter what you do for a living. It doesn't matter if you earn $1 million a year or if you work as a waiter your whole life. These numbers apply. If you can accomplish these numbers, you can really do anything you want. Your money is going to work harder than you will. So when you're ready to take a break, and this all is based around the concept of, right now our conversation is based around this concept of retiring before 50. And most people will not do that. Even those that can retire before the age of 50 will usually elect to take an easier form of work because work keeps our minds active. But let's say, for example, when I told you that 6% is a pretty lousy rate of return over a long period of time. There are investments that if you work it strategically and the more you learn about different places to put your money, that can earn upwards of 12%, 10%, even 11%. But let's say, for instance, given all the numbers that I just mentioned to you, we changed that interest rate and we were able to take it from a 6% return to a 9% return. Now, I told you at 6%, that initial $3,000 investment, along with setting aside $250 every month, would give you about $250,000, little more than $250,000 in 30 years. But at a 9% rate, all the numbers being the same, that same amount would give you just under $450,000, a little bit shy of $500,000, almost doubling the amount of money you have without doing anything extra. And if you happen to be in your 20s, even in your 30s, and 30 years sounds like a long ways away, I can tell you, and I know this sounds very old man of me, but I can tell you that time will pass faster than what you think it will pass. 30 years will come and you will look back and you'll be like, wow, I'm old, but I don't feel old, and time has passed really quick. So I get that. So why don't I shave all the gray hair on my head so nobody knows that I have gray hair and I look young again, right? So in as good as that feels, you've worked all these years and you've put in your time. And I can tell you, like, side-by-side comparisons of companies that have pretty much the exact same profile. Here's a man that has a wife and 3 kids and runs $1 million business, right next to a man that has a wife and 3 kids and runs $1 million business. Fast forward 20 years, one man is wealthy and has a paid off home and enough to retire on and millions of dollars in the bank, and the other man is living paycheck to paycheck. And what separates them, what differentiates them, is habits. Their habits about money, even their beliefs about money. One man may believe that I'll live for today. I want those jet skis. I want that new boat. I don't need to save as much. I can take a deduction and buy a brand new diesel truck, and I deserve that. There's all kinds of ways that lead up to it. But there's a great book, if you have a chance to read it. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. It's an old book. It's been around for a long time. It's a book that I'm now trying to get my oldest child to start to read. And I read it as a young adult. And it's very impactful because it outlines what you may already know. So I don't mean to dumb this down. I just want it to be clear, because I didn't always get this connection, that there are millionaires all around you. And they are not likely to be the people that live in gigantic homes with swimming pools in their backyard and brand new import vehicles and taking 5 vacations a year and Facebook pictures at, Disneyland and on cruises. Their millionaires are the people next door that are driving paid off 8 and 10-year-old cars that they purchased that had 90,000 miles on it. They live within their means and below their means. And that's really the key in the two side-by-side business examples, both earning $1 million a year. That's the key, is one of them will be living well below their means. If you get to the point where you have your family and you're not going to have any more kids, you may be in your 30s or early 40s, and you continue to earn more money, but you continue to live at the level as if you didn't have that money and set it aside, you are on the right path to building an extreme amount of wealth. The side that won't be covered today, but that we'll get into, is how do you get funds that are 6% versus 9% versus even 11 and 12%? Because just for the brief sake of entertaining the idea of what that same investment would be if you were to get a 12% return, all the numbers being the same as our first example, you would have over $813,000 in the bank in a 30-year time period, and that is setting $250 a month aside. Now, in the government rules for a individual or a Roth IRA, and it changes year by year. This year is a $6,000 investment. You're allowed to invest up to $6,000 in a personal individual retirement account, which is called an IRA. So $6,000 monthly would be $500 per month. So let's say you maxed out your IRA at $500 a month, and all those numbers were the same, and you were able to get that 12% interest. Now you have $1,537,875. So you have over 1.5 million. So in this example, what we did is we made small, and we've talked about this in a lot of our courses, which are available at DirtMonkey or SteelToeU.com. And what you'll find is that we talk about the power of these micro changes, making very small tweaks or changes that have huge impact. So you just make a small change in your monthly investment, you make a small change in your interest rate, and we've gone from an example that began at $250,000, which by itself is still pretty impressive, to over $1.5 million. Now, when you're over $1.5 million, now you're talking having the ability to retire and live off of that money. That money earns enough money to continue to pay you without reducing the stockpile that it was built on. At $250,000, chances are you're going to have to find some other secondary source of income. So there's shocking numbers of seniors that are approaching or beyond retirement age that are forced to continue to have to work because there's just not enough money there. So if we're talking about why you're doing this business, you're doing this business so one day you don't have to do this business. yes, I know we're all very passionate about our businesses and we love what we do and we take a lot of pride in it, but someday you're going to get tired. And someday your body's going to feel like, you know what? I wish I didn't have to do this. If you want to do this till you're 70, God bless you and do that. But if you want or need to stop when you're in your 50s or 60s, you want to be able to have that option. And setting money aside every single month and being disciplined about it will pay rewards. It might seem small today, but keep doing it. And the first place I would look is into an individual retirement account. There are a number of places online where you can open these. You can talk to a personal financial advisor and get some advice or some wisdom on that. But get started. If you are older, if you're in a message to those of you who are beyond 50 years old or beyond 45 years old, it also is not too late. However, you're going to have to keep working. So think about what you want to do for the next 10 years. If your business is physically taking a toll on you, where you're out there moving heavy objects and you can't do it anymore, think about transitioning into a line of work that is going to be able to pay you, because if you can give this about 10, even 15 years, you may have to go to 65 years old, but if you can give it 15 years, you can go online and plan out the retirement calculator and be very targeted about getting the highest return of interest possible. You also can have a substantial amount of money at a little bit beyond maybe your desired retirement age, but it'll be enough. You can make it. So I hope this conversation has helped you get connected into how powerful it is to start today, start setting money aside, be frugal, live below your means, read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, get some ideas from that, and start taking action immediately on your future and your retirement. So thanks for tuning in. Please join us every week as we release another podcast next. We are 2 episodes away from episode 100. I have nothing special planned, but I'm sure Callie has something amazing planned for episode 100. So we're going to make her accountable for that and bring some sort of giveaway or prize. And that'll be 2 weeks from now. Thank you again and have a great day.